Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the Cedarfield family. I hope you are all doing well this afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to our live stream. The format for today is as follows. I have a couple of opening remarks related to the executive order from yesterday. Dr. Shear and Ann Hopper will be here about other tidbits from our wellness clinic, and then I will round out this live stream with some more administrative updates about services around the community. So first, just want to talk about the Virginia governor's statement from yesterday, the stay-at-home executive order. The Cedarfield residents and team members I know are continually adhering to self-quarantining and physical distancing in order to flatten the curve. I hope you are not taking those two terms lightly. We are asking every single resident, private duty person, and team member to maintain physical distance, avoid social gatherings. I'm going to talk about traveling outside the community in a bit, and everyone take advantage of the technology that we have available to ourselves today, or even taking advantage of something that was created a long time ago called the telephone. So a bit about travel. For the residents that live at Cedarfield, if you travel outside this community, I need to know. I need to know if you're traveling outside of this community. Outside of this community is not staying at home. And there's a lot of variability with you leaving outside of this community. There are other retirement communities in the city of Richmond that are mandating the residents don't leave their community for specific reasons. Period. No exceptions. We are not currently one of those communities. But should our situation escalate, we will become one of those communities very quickly. In order to avoid that particular situation, we are trying to flatten the curve, which means social distancing and self-quarantining. We are here to protect you. I'm trying to protect my own family. The Cedarfield team members are trying to protect themselves while they're here. They also are trying to protect themselves while they are away from the community, which I'll get into in a second. So in consultation with the Pinnacle Living Office and the Department of Health this morning, we are going to track whereabouts. I'm going to track whereabouts about staff, and I'm going to track whereabouts of residents. We are creating a sign-out log at the gatehouse to understand your travel within Henrico County. So the governor signed a stay-at-home executive order, and in order to further protect people who live and work here, I need to know specific information now. And no, I'm not babysitting. Trust me, this is not something I want to do. I have enough on my plate already. Should you choose to travel beyond the county, we are going to require residents to self-isolate for 14 days to ensure that you are not a carrier. Your travel within Henrico County should be limited to supermarkets, medically necessary appointments, exercise if you wish. Please don't take advantage of this policy to go visit friends and family. I am not visiting my family. My dad just got out of hip surgery, and I really want to go see my dad. And I am not traveling to Pennsylvania to be with my family. I am cooped up in my own home with my bride and my 2 sons, and we are practicing social distancing and self-quarantining in my own home. And so are we're strongly encouraging this practice with all of our team members here at Cedarfield. Should you wish to dine with family and friends, especially in groups of more than 5 outside of this campus, it is highly likely that you are potentially putting Cedarfield residents at risk. And I know we all don't want to do that. Some, not all residents and team members are looking for loopholes or simply just not practicing social distancing and self-quarantining. And I cannot urge enough, as your leader of this community, I am imploring everyone. Now, more than ever, we've been slowly ramping up for the last 3 weeks. These next 2 weeks are incredibly important. 2 weeks are incredibly important, if not the whole month of April, that we just stay away from people. Particularly people 65 years of age and better. I know this is difficult, but we have no plans right now to relax practices and precautionary measures. Hopefully, over these live stream chats over the last 2 weeks, you've noticed that we keep ramping up restrictions. It's not because of punishments. Please stop emailing me that we are punishing people. I can assure you that I am not punishing people. I am trying to protect people. I am trying to keep people alive and safe and well, in consultation with a lot of smart people around me. Those that work on the team here, the leadership team, our medical director, Dr. Moranian, Dr. Amy Shear, Ann Hopper, along with local officials with the Department of Health, our Virginia Healthcare Coalition, and our emergency management folks. I have some very smart, dedicated people that have a lot of experience around me. This stuff is not a punishment. This is real life stuff to protect everybody. So, a word about the team members, or the front line. They are the front line. You hear the word frontline team, frontline staff all over the media. The Cedarfield team is the front line. Make no mistake about it. The most frequently asked question, one of the most frequently asked questions I get from residents is the following. You are restricting us so much, Michael, the residents. What about your team members? Why don't they just stay home as well? That's sort of the theme of one of the most frequently asked questions. Every team member at Cedarfield is absolutely essential to keeping this community going right now. Keep it operating under the guidelines of a brand new CCRC that we've created here in the last few weeks. Every team member is essential. Team members also have a lot of different situations as well, and we are well equipped to handle the variety of situations that are coming at us because of their personal life or because of something personal that's happening to that team member. And so we have a preparedness plan and a policy in place that is ever evolving right now in consultation with the entities and the agencies that I just referenced. I and the leadership team, Renee and David and Sharon Brown, James Green, Christy, Stephanie, Matt, Melissa, Beth, all of the clinical leaders, the neighborhood leaders, we are focused on ways to protect the Cedarfield team and find ways to help them with a balance because they are on the front line. We are trying to monitor every team member right now, making sure that we're addressing any barrier that they are confronted with so that we can help keep them in control. We have changed our screening instrument at the gatehouse effective today. There are new questions on that screening instrument that the security officers, as of 3 o'clock this afternoon, will be using to further monitor people who are coming onto the property. The management team, we are constantly practicing our own social distancing by meeting via conference call. I have not gathered in a group meeting with my executive leadership team in over 3 weeks. We practice our meetings via conference call or Zoom or video conferencing. And we are constantly educating our team members about how to protect themselves and their family outside of work. Today I'll be publishing another memo to the team members about how to further protect themselves and asking for their unwavering commitment while they're outside of Cedarfield to make sure that they are vigilantly adhering to the governor's executive order of staying at home and also practicing a lot of daily sanitary hygiene items inside of their own household so that they're protecting themselves and their family, and all the while they're coming to Cedarfield, they are also protecting each other and or the residents of Cedarfield. So, I know this is a very strong message this time. I just think we really need to take it to another level, go a little bit deeper in our own behavior, our own way of adhering to these social distancing and self-quarantining practices in order to help the city of Richmond and Henrico County flatten the curve, and also all the while we are flattening our own curve here at Cedarfield. So you may see team members, like I mentioned yesterday, you may see team members walking around with masks, like this one. Hold on one second. That is an N99 mask that I just procured the other day. And I want the residents of Cedarfield to know that the team is practicing. We are in practice mode now. So you may see team members wearing these masks around the community, whether you're in assisted living, whether you are in independent living, the cottages or the apartments, or some residents may see it in the health center. We are in practice mode this week. And let me tell you, wearing this mask for more than 15 minutes is not pleasant. And so that's why we're practicing it as well, so team members can get used to wearing this mask and be comfortable with their own breathing inside of this mask as they're responding to a tabletop exercise. So the management team and I really believe that these tabletop exercises will really help foster more courage, more knowledge, more expertise, and more confidence in the team when we have our first case here. So, like I said, you may see team members wearing masks like that one. The other day, yesterday I was wearing a mask early in the morning, responding to a situation with Ann Hopper. We have new protocols in place. The fire and rescue is demanding new protocols of us. It seems like every day there's a new protocol. And so we're constantly changing the health delivery system of Cedarfield. What we did naturally 30 days ago does not apply now. There's a whole set of different policies and practices. So the team, we need to practice these new protocols in order to be more comfortable with them. So those are my opening remarks. Next, we have Dr. Shear and Ann Hopper. So welcome to them.
Thank you. All right, so again, I want to start off and say that for this Q&A time, if you want to have any questions or if you have anything you'd like to be addressed, just go ahead and text the number on the bottom, 727-479-5290. I don't promise to know all the answers. This is a very fluid situation, and just like Michael explained, there are changes every day, and information can be valid one day and not valid the next. But we'll do our best to try and shed light and not create more misinformation, which there is unfortunately a lot of out there.
All right. We have a couple of follow-up questions from last week. One of the questions a resident asked me, Dr. Shear, you mentioned decompensate. What does decompensate mean?
So I apologize, it's kind of a medical term that we tend to use quite a bit. So decompensation in general means a decline. And usually when I talk about somebody rapidly decompensating, I mean that their respiratory status or their breathing is getting much worse. It's becoming harder and harder to breathe. That work of breathing is increasing. That's a sign of a rapid decompensation. So when I talk about decompensation, it basically means decline.
Great. And here's another one, and I think this is a little bit tricky. As the hospitals are getting busier and busier, if someone has symptoms, the respiratory symptoms, and we do the telemedicine, are they able to stay in their apartment?
The answer is absolutely. We do not want to be sending anyone to the hospital that we would not normally be sending to the hospital. We're looking, again, but we're tracking to make sure you're stable with those. So the biggest thing there is we will not send you to the hospital. We want you to isolate in place if you're having difficulty or if you're starting to have a fever or a cough or that shortness of breath, mainly so that we can track it, make sure you're doing well, make sure, it may be a regular cold, and we definitely don't want to be sending you into an ER where you can potentially get infected. It's much better for us to manage you here unless you need to be in the hospital. And if you need to be in the hospital, we need to be able to send you there.
And we will be able to still help with that.
Yes, all of those things, again, you're going to do what you normally do. We've always said, don't call the clinic if what you need is 911. Call 911, then call the clinic. The clinic wants to know, but again, if you're having a heart attack or if you're having a stroke, minutes count. So we do want you to be able to call 911 in those situations.
Right. And then to add to that, we are still happy with this respiratory to call 911, but if a resident did call 911, you'll just answer so many more questions about symptoms that you have because the responders want to come in the appropriate personal protective equipment that they need to wear.
Yeah, so that's another reason why we can help you through this as long as you're stable enough to give us the time to do that. If it's mild symptoms, if it's, again, one of those 3 symptoms of cough, shortness of breath, or fever, again, cough and shortness of breath, meaning not the cough that I have every week or, once a month or that kind of thing, but a new or worse cough outside what is your baseline. Shortness of breath that's worse than your baseline or outside of your baseline. Those are the things that we want you to be calling the clinic about. Fevers, and specifically anything above 100.2. A true fever is not until 101.4, but we still want to know those low-grade temperatures of 102 and above, 100.2 and above, 100.2 and above, in order to, be calling the next day or having you recheck your temperatures, all those kind of things.
Right. And to talk about fevers, we do have a limited supply of these disposable thermometers, and we have a few hundred more ordered. They haven't been shipped yet. So at this point, if someone had a fever or thought they had a fever and did not have a thermometer, they could call the clinic and we could get this disposable thermometer. It's a one-time use, so to hand them out right now, it wouldn't be worth it because we don't want to use it just to check our baseline temperature.
Exactly. We want to be all the supplies, even if we have access and extra, we want to make sure that we're utilizing all of our resources, being good stewards and using our resources appropriately.
All right, and it looks like our questions are starting to come in. So we see some team members wearing masks. Should residents be wearing masks now?
I would say my answer to that is no. And the reason why I would say no is because, especially if you are self-isolating, which is what we're requesting that you do, then your exposure right now is very minimal. And if you're 6 feet apart from other residents and other providers, my thinking is that that's a mask that can potentially be used in a situation where we really need it. We really want to make sure that when we are putting on masks, that we're not using more than one mask. So sometimes you'll see some healthcare providers that will have had a mask on, and rather than throw that mask away, they do use it for the rest of the day. So where you're being requested to put it on. So unless you're going into the emergency room and they're putting one on you, do not use up your mask. And if you have extra masks, I would ask that you bring those to the office so that we can dispense, the hospitals, there are plenty of facilities that don't have what they need. You are fortunate here at Cedarfield in that I do believe that you have an appropriate number, but there are places out here that don't.
Great. So going along with this masks, we have all seen or have watched President Trump, and he was mentioning he actually had the Abbott, the new testing, and you need the machine that goes along with this little swab. What's the status of Cedarfield, do you think, getting one of these?
Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all just had one of those? The reality is, until we physically have access to it, it's not here. And we don't know if and when we will get that. So, states are bidding on that right now. And they're having to decide and, determine what, who gets it first, where it goes, how many are there, and I don't pretend to know all the details of that, but my thinking is we don't have it now, and the when of it is not all that important. When we have it, we'll have it, and for now, we don't.
And really, would anything change our protocol if we had this testing device or not?
No, because we still would recommend with mild symptoms that you don't be tested. If you're able to self-quarantine for 14 days with mild symptoms, we're going to tell you to self-isolate for 14 days with mild symptoms. The reality is that even the supplies used to do any of these tests become short supply, when a test is available. So even then, they're going to have to practice stewardship of even the tests that are the 15-minute test.
Okay. Now we're moving on to anxiety. We have a question. I can't sleep. What do I do?
So I've been getting this question a lot, and I feel you. I think we all do. That it's hard to sleep at night right now, and especially with everything in the news and with our kids worried and with us worried about our kids. It's just, this is not a fun time to be around right now, and unfortunately that really affects our sleep. But what we really want to make sure right now is that we aren't medicating to go to sleep. This has a lot of harmful implications for our daytime, as well as, the type of sleep that you get with medication is not a restful sleep. So it's not a stage 4 sleep. And I'm sure we can go into that in more detail, but there's lots of things you can be doing to help with your sleep hygiene. I believe that we even have some information about that specifically on, I want to say, the wellness.
My Cedarfield, the wellness.
The wellness app, and I want to say that Michael Shaw did talk about it a while ago.
I think so. Karen just loaded some information on it.
Wonderful. So there are medications you can take, but again, if you don't need a medicine, it's better that you don't take anything. The other thing that we all tend to do is have a little extra glass of wine, or we might, crack open an extra beer right now to soothe our nerves, because this is a very, anxious time, especially in the evening as we get ready. Again, that is not going to be helpful for you and has a lot of potential harm for waking up at night, being disoriented, falling, and the last thing you want to do is end up with a hip fracture and have to go to the hospital. Now is not the time for that, okay? So we really want to be practicing taking less naps during the day, staying more active during the day, all the things that are good for your health overall, you want to be doing right now in order to, and that also helps helps with your sleep at night.
Right. Okay, here's another one that might go along with it. I feel anxious. What can I do?
So, I was thinking, that's a good question, and I was actually feeling very anxious myself on Saturday, and kind of decided that I'm going to make it a practice for myself to have Sundays be my holiday from COVID. So on Sundays, I do not watch the news at all. I feel like, you know, this disease and the numbers are going to increase whether or not I watch the news or not. I do think that it's important to be informed, and I'm not trying to say that we need to bury our head in the sand and pretend that this isn't going on. But I think for me, I feel like I've limited myself to my local news, so I watch, you know, in the morning and the evening. I do not try and watch, you know, news past that, because I feel like there's a lot of negativity and there's a lot of information, again, maybe even good information, but I feel like the anxiety that comes along with receiving that information and all the difficult stories that are out there really don't help me in my day-to-day. Now, I guess a little different for me is I'm also getting information from the CDC, and I do try and update myself on the Virginia Department of Health, and I watch the governor's presentation. But I do try and limit news and Facebook and, you know, the information overload that's out there. And especially if I feel more anxious by doing that, I will try and I'll try and take the following day and say, okay, what were the things that made me feel worse? Is there a way that I can cut down on those?
Okay. Here we go. We have more detail about the sleep tips. Sleep tips and how to handle anxiety are on Touchdown under Emotional Balance of Pathways. That icon, Pathways icon. So that's helpful. So I think the other thing about social media is being really careful not to get those headlines, right? Those headlines that grab you about maybe New York and Central Park, what's going on there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, I mean, that was, for me, very disturbing this morning, watching the national news, and I thought to myself, how is me knowing what's going on in other states helping those states? If it does help, then I want to be watching and I want to be addressing that. But if it's not helping and it's only hurting, then I don't necessarily know that I need to be exposing myself to that, because it can stagnate what I'm doing. So I do think it's important for me, especially that I know what's going on in the long-term care communities, that I'm, you know, updating myself with important information and protocols, and I do all of that. But when it comes to my friends on Facebook and the difficulties they're going through in Florida and in New York and in Chicago, it's too overwhelming sometimes. And I think that we do need a break from it a little bit. And I think that we need to practice good, you know, good self-care. And part of that too is, I also want to say one of the things that I try and do is try and be more outwardly focused, because I think that when we think about ourselves and our problems, that can also kind of, again, make us feel more and more self-isolated.
Right.
So one of the things my friends and I do is we do a Zoom meeting, but there's also, you know, phone trees. You know, I think for the residents here, if you normally ate with another couple, are you checking up on that couple? Are you calling them? Are you asking how they're doing? And I think we all need to be asking each other how we're feeling, not just, are you coughing? You know?
Right.
You know, it's not just our physical health that's important right now. We do need to be asking about each other's mental health.
Exactly. That's great. Here's another one. How about nutrition and hydration? So now that our eating, you know, the dining rooms, the atrium, they're closed, meals and hydration?
So, it's, again, now is the time to really be focused on healthy lifestyle, healthy eating. When we become anxious and when we become, and it's also, I hate to say it, a little bored because we're not able to do the things that we normally do activity-wise, we tend to go for those carb-rich foods, and we tend to go for the comfort foods, and because we want that comfort. The unfortunate thing with that is then we end up with the health implications, and right now we want to keep you as healthy as possible. So really trying to avoid those high carbs, high salt, the intake there. Eating some fresh vegetables, eating, what I'm seeing when I go to the grocery store, and hopefully you're not going to the grocery store, but the produce is aplenty. If you walk down the, macaroni and cheese aisle, there's nothing. But if you go to the produce section, there's lots of vegetables, there's lots of lettuce, there's lots of salads, there's lots of, items that you can eat that's more on the healthier side. Again, so I don't think we have a shortage of that yet, and I think it's really important that we maintain, a healthy eating, healthy eating habits right now. So, I would really, it's a good time. Most of the time we feel like we don't have time to write down what we eat and do all the things that are, we ask each other to do when we're looking at healthy. Weight Watchers would say, write it down, calculate your points, know how many calories, We always say we don't have the time. Now's the time.
Right.
You have lots of time now, hopefully, and it's a good thing to focus on, versus all the bad that's out there right now.
Right, great. Well, I think we have...
One question I have for you, Ian,
Yes.
is, so we've had a couple of questions about, well, now that I don't have the support that I used to have in my apartment, how do I get into healthcare or assisted living if I feel like, I can't manage at home? So that's more your alley than mine, so I'm going to let you answer that question.
Okay, well, that's perfect. So we're pretty much still doing the same thing. If someone needed healthcare or assisted living, you'd go through the clinic. We still need the doctor's order, and based on what's going on, what your symptom is, we're in touch with the doctor. You would have our in-house doctor, either Dr. Shear or Dr. Cook, with Arden, the nurse practitioner, and we'd be working with Melissa and the neighborhood leaders and clinical leaders up in healthcare and assisted living to help that transition happen.
Right, so that is still available if you need it, but again, we don't want to have a whole lot of transition at this time in general, so we do want to keep healthcare and healthcare, assisted living, special care, just to minimize that contact, but those are all still available if you need them.
Exactly. All right, that's it for now.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Dr. Shear. That was great. I just want to highlight actually one thing that they were referring to. It is my belief that no one is really independent. We are really codependent human beings from the time that we are born. From the time that we're born, we're codependent on parents. And as we travel through life, I believe that we are dependent on many sources in order to live independently. With that in mind, Florence Brooks and Matt Dameron asked a very important question yesterday with the management team. They said, many folks in assisted living and in independent living have some support along the way in order doesn't necessarily mean that the resident is either happy about that or can actually still function in that day-to-day. Maybe they need some layer, what other layer of support can we provide? So the team met today. We are naming something called Operation Wellbeing. More to come about it in the next couple of days ahead. But the team is looking at a way to look at a safety net, to make sure that we're vitally capturing the needs of a resident given all the restrictions that we have on the property, so that we can assure ourselves and assure the residents that we are trying our best to help with those 9 domains of well-being. So more to come over the next couple of days about Operation Wellbeing. I did want to mention one other thing that I neglected to say in my opening comments regarding our new protocol at the gatehouse. Should a resident choose to, this is any resident, in healthcare, assisted living, or independent living, should a resident choose to leave Henrico County for an extended period of time and then come back, we are going to ask that resident to self-isolate, not even self-quarantine, self-isolate for 14 days, given the exposure that you may have had, even with other people or just touching other surfaces beyond that period of time. Want to re-emphasize one thing that Dr. Scheer just said. The World Health Organization is not recommending that every human being on planet Earth wear a mask. In fact, it's actually unsafe to do that because there is research to show that the next logical place that somebody starts to touch their face when they're wearing a mask is their eyes. Not to mention the fact that every person that is well doesn't need to wear a mask. Thank you to all the residents who were very compliant over the last 2 days with getting your mail. I cannot thank you enough. I was talking with our U.S. postal carrier this morning in the bathroom adjacent to the mailboxes, and he was almost in tears. And here's the reason why. He says, it's such a joy to come to Cedarfield because of all of the precautions that we have. He said, Michael, you would be amazed at the other sites that I have visited and the lack of awareness that they even have that this is even going on in the world. So, just one little quote from our U.S. postal carrier. One more thing about transportation. Ann Reed and her team of shoppers were able to help 27 different residents today. So thank you, Ann. On average, they are delivering packages Monday through Thursday now to almost 30 different residents. Tomorrow is Wednesday, I believe. I'm losing track of days here. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and so those of you that live in the cottages can take advantage of the drop-off supply shuttle program. So if you have loved ones that are outside the community and want to take advantage of that program, the Cottage folks, you're up tomorrow. David Stewart just wanted to say thank you to the residents. Your feedback in making the program is greatly appreciated. All the emails and texts that have come in, he really appreciates the feedback to strengthen the process. So these last couple of days, we've taken even further tidbits to make that delivery program even better. So thank you to the residents for your feedback. And then lastly, on my plate, just want to continue to encourage people, those of you that have computers, those of you that are talking to loved ones near and far, feel free to guide them to www.mycedarfield.com. Once they're there, they will be guided to this page. At the very bottom, there's a guest access link that will guide somebody outside this campus to this page, and anybody can utilize, I'm utilizing these three main icons here in the beginning of Touchdown. The coronavirus updates, the team member announcement updates, and the Pathways to Wellness icon. So please encourage people to utilize those icons. Every single one of us has a personal responsibility in this situation. Every one of us has a role to play in the solution. If we don't, we are putting other people at risk. We have no known cases of COVID-19 at Cedarfield at this time. Should you have any questions about this live chat, please feel free to contact the administration suite, contact any one of the department directors. They should have some answers to any of your questions. Please be super vigilant on this fine Tuesday with self-quarantining and social distancing. We absolutely have a mandate to flatten this curve here at Cedarfield and in Wrightville County. With that, I'm going to turn over the microphone to Florence Brooks, who has some spiritual help for us.
Thank you, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone. I really appreciate the questions offered to Dr. Shear and Ann during the live stream, particularly around anxiety. And I was thinking a lot about that earlier today and how all of us, to some degree, have experienced anxiety. Perhaps when you prepared to move to Cedarfield, you had some anxiety. Or maybe when you've been waiting on a doctor's results from a test, you had some anxiety. Or maybe you've been concerned about family members when your children were younger, or even now, you've experienced some anxiety. And now with the coronavirus, a lot of people are talking about anxiety and the restlessness. And along with that, a lot of the tools perhaps that we were accustomed to using, maybe a person in our life who has been there checking on us on a daily basis, or people that we've been able to see, or doctors that we've been able to see, we're not able to see now. And so it's important for us to spend some time thinking about tools that we can utilize right now. Some of you are people of prayer, some of you use scriptures, some of you read poetry. I see lots of Cedarfield residents going for walks outside. Those are all tools to help us in anxious times. An exercise I'd like to share with you this afternoon is called the 5 Senses. And the 5 Senses is an exercise that you can use at any time, in any place. And the whole purpose is to move you out of the what-if thinking into the right-now thinking. So if you would, just take a deep breath. And do that again. Take a deep breath. And then just easily move into breathing. And just appreciate that breath and how that being in touch with our breath can be very calming to us. And the the 5 senses, we're going to do a countdown from 5 to 1. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask ourselves, what are 5 things we can see right now? So just look around where you are and notice 5 things that you can see. It might be a lamp, a chair, the television. What are 5 things you can see? Keep breathing. And after you've named those 5 things, what are 4 things you can touch around you? It might be your hair, the sleeve of your arm, a ring, the ground under your feet. What are 4 things you can touch around you? And now what are 3 things? 3 things you can hear. It might be the air conditioning, or the hum of the refrigerator, or a lawnmower. 3 things you can hear. And breathe. And what are 2 things now? 2 things you can smell. 2 things you can smell. Maybe you're in your bedroom right now and you can smell the fragrance of fabric softener, or hand lotion, or hand sanitizer. Maybe if you're able, it would be good to get up and walk around and find 2 things you can smell. A bar of soap in your bathroom, an apple in your kitchen. Enjoy the fragrance. Enjoy the smell. And the final thing is, what is 1 thing you can taste? Swallow. What do you taste? Do you taste the soup from lunch? Or the chocolate you had while you were watching this live stream? What do you taste? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The goal of this exercise is to bring your mind away from the what ifs into the what now, into the present. It's a way to still your heart, as the psalmist says, to be still. A way for us to engage in what is right now before us. Above all, be gentle with yourself during this time. Go in peace. Thank you.